September 12th, 2015 was a very important day in the history of this game. This is the day that the biggest League of Legends YouTuber of all time decided to quit making videos about the game. And something that is rather comical about it is that this is the most viewed video about League from an individual YouTuber. You know, a video about how the game sucks and he's quitting. Look, even though I've made videos in the past that don't always paint it in the best light, a reasonable question that you might have is how come I haven't made a video like this? Why haven't I quit League like so many others? And I think the biggest reason is to look at Dunkey himself. Remember when he said this in his video?
My appreciation for this game is waning all the time.
For me, despite all other issues, my appreciation for this game has not depleted, and that's why I'm still here. My interest in high-level play, my respect for the game's best players, it's all still there, and I'm still intrigued watching the best one-tricks and studying pros. Even on the days in which solo queue has completely ruined my mental, I can still wake up the next morning and watch VODs of Korean Challenger and Chinese Super Server players. It's a part of my daily routine. I have nothing but a great deal of respect for players who push the boundaries of the game, break the meta, and perfect these unique strategies. Which is why today, it's finally time to discuss League's secret GOAT, a player who many of you may have never heard of before, and those of you who do know him understand just how special and interesting he really is. Meet Ady, League's most successful troll, a guy who has held Korean Challenger for a while now, while never taking Flash. This year, he reached rank 1 on the most competitive server in the world, doing things nobody else has ever done. Roaming Recon top with the support item, Flashless Shen, Taric top in jungle, Thresh top lane with lethal tempo. In some games, he averages as little as 3 CS per minute and still finds a way to beat the best players in the world. So how does he do it? And what can we learn from a player that another content creator previously called the best player he's ever seen?
He's legit trolling, okay? Legit trolling. He's smurfing on everybody. He's cracked.
This video is sponsored by Loot Boy. Loot Boy is a new way to earn in-game items, and given how good some of these new League skins are, I really think this is needed right now. Instead of directly buying RP, you can earn your way and unlock them through Loot Boy. They have these weekly comics that you can read that are funny and feature silly little adventures. They come out on a regular basis, and reading through them will give you coins. If you're the type of player who enjoys Hextech boxes and loot packs in other games, instead of buying those, you can buy Loot Boy packs, which feature rewards that value anywhere from $5 to $100. You can get some cool gifts such as this $20 RP card, and of course you can redeem that in-game for some sweet skins. If you feel that you already have enough League skins, no problem. Loot Boy also offers packs for Steam, Google Play, packs for games like Fortnite, all kinds of stuff. Look how easy this is to earn diamonds. All I had to do today was log in, input today's daily code, and then boom, I'm well on my way to earning some of the new skins. Whether you're looking to passively get stuff for free or try your luck with the loot packs, Loot Boy has good rewards for everyone. Loot Boy is available on iOS, Android, and PC, and you can try today using my link in the description down below. More than ever before, it feels like the League of Legends meta forces you to play the best champions in the game. And my most recent video is about this very topic, so if that truly is the case, what's so different about Ady? What is he able to do that allows him to break the meta? I think that first and foremost, before anything about his playstyle, champion pool, build choices, or decision making, he does one thing extremely well. He's got that monk mental. Ady doesn't stream consistently, so technically I don't have any proof that he never tilts or gets upset, and it would be understandable after grinding thousands of games that he still does get mad at the game, but it doesn't seem like he does. This factor alone gives Ady a massive advantage over so many of the weak-minded players. All of those times in which the bad mental players would threaten to troll games or actually do grief and give up, Ady never does. He genuinely seems like he has a good time playing League and he has fun in-game, which I don't think a lot of us can say. He also doesn't have a massive ego about the laning phase. He knows that all that matters at the end is winning the game, destroying the Nexus. He knows that his typical setups are not lane focused, so it doesn't bother him if he goes down a bunch of CS or dies solo. Of course he's going to lose lane with the type of setup that he runs, and he doesn't let it get to him. When Ady first came into the limelight about a year and a half ago, it resulted in quite the reaction. players, myself included, were puzzled, confused, whatever adjective you'd like to use, as to how this was even possible. This dude would average less than 5 CS per minute, very often would lose his lane by a significant amount, at a certain point stopped farming altogether and purchased the support item halfway through the game, never took flash, and played off-meta champions. All of that sounds like a recipe for disaster, but it wasn't, because he hit Korean Challenger. Every year, the Korean server averages somewhere between 3 to 5 million players. It has the best connection and the least amount of lag. This server attracts foreign players to come to South Korea and boot camp to practice. Pros from other regions want to play on this server for the purposes of improving at the game. It is ultra competitive, and someone who seemingly doesn't even try that hard can outclimb pros who are paid millions to be good at League of Legends. The key to his success is all in the roams and the ganks. He would show incredibly good understanding of map movement and vision control. His roams were on these weird timings that would help snowball his team. After Riot nerfed teleport before 14 minutes with the Unleash system, many top laners felt as though their map impact was significantly lower. But in the case of Ady, he would take the nerf in stride, and instead of using his TP to go bot, sometimes he would walk bot lane and successfully gank, and then use his teleport to go back top. Also, because Ady always takes Ghost, when he would TP to the tower on a pushing lane, sometimes he could just run the enemy down. He is the epitome of lose lane, win game, because he makes sure that his teammates are all doing well. In the mid game, he would reach a point where he'd mostly stop farming and pick up a support item. He'd end up completing the quest at about 25 minutes or so, and when doing that, his skill as a support player can also shine. His vision control and denial is fantastic, and he's a great team fighter. The champions he likes to play make sense with this playstyle. They are low income, low resource utility characters. There's so much inherent value from a Taric, Gragas, Shyvana, and Galio. You really wouldn't be able to make this style work on something that requires a lot of resources, because typically those champions don't have the highest base damage. Regardless of how behind a Gragas is, he will always have a game-changing ultimate and excellent crowd control. Even though Thresh Top doesn't sound very good and probably shouldn't be able to get out of lane, Ady would make it work because Thresh hooks are always useful. An often less talked about reason for this working is also due to the tilt. Let's be honest here, when the enemy top laner walks into bot and ganks your lane, even if your top laner goes up a lot of CS, there's still some emotional damage that's been done. Everybody who plays this game wants to smurf on the enemy and be strong. It doesn't feel good for the ego to get carried, and that doubles when Ady also doesn't have a good score or KDA. Ady is one of the few players that doesn't care if he's 1-6. He doesn't care about dealing the most damage or having a good score for the screenshots. He cares about killing the Nexus, and whatever he has to do to make that happen, he will. There's a lot of good breakdowns on YouTube from channels like Dobby and Today on the Super server that cover his gameplay. If you're looking how to play this style, there is no better way to do that than watching these videos, and I'll leave a link in the description down below. Ady has also been covered by xPetu, who is one of my favorite creators and the best source for everything Shen related. The reason that he talked about him is because this season, a new champion that Ady started playing is Shen, but we'll come back to this in a bit. His most played champion has always been Taric, and that's the champion that really put him on the map. This Taric top and jungle is deadly, and is clearly his most practiced pick. The supportive nature of Taric allows him to be, at minimum, a CC bot, and in the best situations, a disgusting combination of utility, tankiness, damage, and enchanter properties. When used well, Taric is one of League's strongest champions that nobody really plays. For years, Taric has been a secret OP laner with strong damage and half-decent wave clear. Ady will run down into bot lane, use the stun and the ultimate to tank towers and dive bot. He loves to follow around with his jungler and make plays with them, and one thing about Ady's playstyle is that he's never selfish. He will help laners push out waves but doesn't purposefully steal cannon minions. He will always come to help at objective fights and clear vision. He will always choose to sack waves top and be there to assist and go to the Rift Heralds. I truly believe this is something that we can all learn from and should do more of. We could all be better teammates, and even when other players are raging out of their minds, that doesn't mean we have to stoop down to their level. When the Baus went to Korea, he encountered our friend Ady several times, and in one of my favorite clips, he went as far as saying that he believes Ady is not just a really good player, not just deserving of high elo, but in his words, Ady is the best player he's ever seen. His logic is airtight.
I don't think there's any doubt. If this guy puts even a single thought into his gameplay, he gets rank 1.
At the time, Baus believed that if Ady had put any thought into his gameplay, if he really tried and cared, he could get rank 1. And funny enough, it turns out he was right. Heading into this season, Ady probably set some goals for himself and really put his mind into League, and it paid off. This year he's accomplished 2 extremely impressive things. He was the first player to reach Challenger on the Korean ladder, which obviously meant that he was rank 1. And not only did Ady get to rank 1 and hold it for some time, he's also been able to hold high Challenger. At the time of recording, he's been hovering around rank 5 to 15, and just as he's always done, he's doing it with the same off-meta and wacky builds. He is the king of innovation. What I find most interesting about the Taric this year is just how much of it has been jungle. In previous seasons, it seems like he tended to queue top and support and play Taric support if he got filled into his secondary, but a lot of his success this year is coming in jungle. And the reason that's so impressive is because clearly, even though he's a god tier Taric player, that shouldn't mean it has to translate to all the roles in the game. Same champion or not, jungle is very different from top and support. So the fact that Ady can play Taric at a rank 1 caliber level in 3 different roles means that his fundamental understanding of League is top tier. Is he jungling against the disgusting pre-nerf broken permaban worthy Maokai? No problem. How about a 10 KDA and 71% kill participation? What about jungling in a full challenger lobby against the Sejuani matchup, a champion that players have abused for free low all season? 17 KDA. Too easy. As I mentioned before, a relatively new pick for him this year has been the Shen, and his preferred setup looks like this. He likes to grab Radiant Virtue for his mythic, but before he does that, he likes to pick up a Sunfire cape, sometimes even against magic damage. This is because the trading power, wave clear, and kill threat of a Sunfire Shen is surprisingly high. He also likes to pick up Bramble Vest when needed before his mythic. His favorite item across all of his champions and something you'll never see him play without is the Lucidity Boots. This is like his trusty sidekick. More teleports in Ghost means more plays, more ultimates means more game-changing roams, and more roams means more wins. When Ady cooks something up in the lab, you know it's going to be spicy, and this year it's been his Pantheon tech. Other than some dedicated one-tricks, Pantheon has not been in the meta for quite some time, but that doesn't mean that he's necessarily a bad champion. With a little bit of practice, you can make the Pantheon work, and in the case of Ady, he came up with a brand new technology, Spear of Sojin. If you want to see just how good Ady can be, you should really watch his Pantheon plays, because this is where his mechanics are on full display. The biggest reason that Ady was able to claim rank 1 this year is because his mechanics have improved substantially. By now, you would probably assume that Ady is not a top tier mechanical player if he's low CS, likes to roam, and doesn't mind losing lane. It seems like he would be more of a macro genius than a keyboard wizard, and while that does make sense, it's not the case. The reason that Ady can play these weird champions with wacky builds, and the reason that he can greed to not take flash, and the reason that he doesn't need ignite for lane is because he's just too good for those things. Ady has the capability of destroying his lane on Pantheon, which is a style we had not seen from him in previous years. We can all learn from Ady that you do not have to conform to the meta. That doesn't mean that I'm suggesting any of you troll your ranked games. Please do not do that, it's not fair to your teammates. What I mean instead is that if something catches your eye, we should at least go try it out in a normal game and try to optimize it a bit. You do not have to build the standard items that stats websites or other players tell you to do. If you happen to think that something is better, by all means at least give it a chance. Test it out in some norms and try to draw a conclusion from it. And if you're the type of player that feels like norms don't have a value or a purpose, well, take it from the main man himself. Ady is one of the few Korean challenger players that I've ever seen that actually has normal games on his match history. If even he is willing to test out things and play for fun in unranked sometimes, that means you can too. The final lesson is that you shouldn't get too upset or take things too seriously. Clearly, it's not a good idea to tilt or rage split or grief games, and nobody likes playing with those players. But even on a smaller scale, something like soft trolling or ego checking the enemy, none of these things help anybody, yourself included. You can even look at world champions like Showmaker. Have you ever seen any of this guy's streams? This dude has reached the pinnacle of the game. He is a world-class player that grinds more than 10 hours a day every single day of his life, and even he can still have fun playing from time to time. Very often you'll see Showmaker laughing, smiling, and enjoying the good parts of the game. Nobody is saying that you need to be perfect, and it's that easy to just stop tilting. Obviously, it's difficult to do that, and this game is frustrating at times, but we all know that as a community of players, we can do better. We can have a little fun, and it's just a game after all. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to leave a like and tell me in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time.